Oh my God, this is take 3. This is so funny. Anyway, so I recently started seeing another medical doctor, naturopathic doctor by me, because I was seeing somebody on Zoom, in another state, and I really wanted to be able to have somebody in front of me that I could talk to that could, help me face to face. So she had me do 2 urine tests and a hair mineral analysis test. And I think all 3 tests in total were probably $700. I mean, it's expensive. But I put on my credit card and just chalked it up to like, I need to, do this for my health. So that information came back, and some of the things we found that I thought were really surprising were that my serotonin and my norepinephrine were really low. And if I'm remembering correctly, that's common for a woman who's had her ovaries out or who has like no estrogen, basically. Like the hormone balance in my body is just off, from having the ovaries removed. Another thing I didn't know about having the ovaries removed, I so quickly went to that. I'm like, yeah, just take my ovaries. Like, then I don't need to worry about ovarian cancer. And at the time I was bleeding really heavily. So I knew that it would just like take some of those issues away, but I had no clue of some of the other side effects. And one of them is having just this crazy depleted serotonin and norepinephrine. So in low levels of depletion of norepinephrine, there can be a lack of energy, lack of focus, lack of motivation, and low mood. In high levels, it's anxiousness, stress, hyperactivity, and high blood pressure. I have low blood pressure, so I'm more on the low side of that one. And I think also for serotonin, the low levels are low mood, sleep difficulties, uncontrolled appetite, headaches, hot flashes, and anxiety. High levels would be you need SSRI medications and really high stress. So the thing that's so interesting to me is that I just assumed that how I was feeling was really because of the low platelets, how I was feeling, having the blood, recently, like 2 days ago, I had really fresh blood come out of my phlegm, and that happens every so often, every couple weeks or something like that. I get that fresh blood and I'm just like, I think it's low platelets. And I think that this low energy or low mood or whatever and lack of like sleeping trouble is low platelets. And so when I got this information, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. If I could actually help myself in another way, maybe it's not the platelets, maybe it is this other stuff. So she's got me I'm taking 100 milligrams of 5-HTP, which I looked that up and read about it. And I guess 5-HTP could be used for a bunch of different things, not just like mood modification. I think for weight loss, but you do different dosing. So if you're considering doing that, then just check it out with your doctor, look it up, do the research, because it's the same thing with melatonin. Melatonin in low dose is good for sleep. Melatonin in really high dose, like 180 milligram, which is what I had prescribed to me by a doctor before, is like for cancer prevention. So things work in different ratios and amounts and stuff. So just make sure you check that out. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. It's funny people have to say that, but I'm like, gosh, it might, get construed like I am. So I'm just sharing my experience and what I'm learning along the way. So anyway, so she's got me on 100 milligram of 5-HTP each night. It's been about a week and a half, so I might be noticing it, but it's not any like, wow, crazy effect or something. And then I'm taking L-tyrosine. Yeah, I take that in the morning, and I don't know how much that is. I don't know what the milligram is, but I take 1 of those in the morning and then 2 of the 5-HTP at night. So that was super interesting. The other thing that's kind of weird is that my vitamin C was like through the roof. It was 1124% or whatever, however they measure it, whatever the volume is. It was just like scary through the roof. And she wanted me to get this mycotoxicity test, which myco is like mushrooms, so something having to do with like a fungus, a fungus or a mold, a mungus or a fold. And I didn't want to do that. That was a $300 test, and I just was like, I'm not doing that. But that's interesting because I also came across, I'm always doing all this research because I want to know why my platelets are low. And now I'm also like investigating prevention of cancer because it's been, 4 years for me since my diagnosis, and various things are happening. Like, why am I having all that blood here? And why do I feel like little weird things in my armpits? Like, what is that, So, and various things, the osteoporosis or hip pain, I just want to stay on top of like what I can do to keep cancer away, obviously. But I've been doing a lot with the platelet research. So I found the study. This was on, I think it's NCBI, National Health. I don't know. I'd have to look it up again. But there's a really great website that's like medical journal studies and data, and they give abstracts and conclusions and cite all their resources and all the data and stuff like that. But I think it's like NHLCIBI or something like that. Anyway, that's not helpful. But I found an article on there that showed 2 women who were triple positive like me, 30 months later, had some blood issues. And like we know, chemo and radiation, what's the other one? Surgery. Chemo and radiation, we know, impact us in like ways down the line, especially radiation, because of the way the cell regenerates over time. It's like this mutated cell. This is how I understood it. And so it takes a really long time for the cells need to regenerate for there to be problems from radiation. So, but chemo, don't want to lose my train of thought. So chemo has its other host of problems. So one of the things I got for it was TCHP for being triple positive, and that's carboplatin. And carboplatin has platinum in it, and I have levels of platinum that are like off the charts. And when I showed that, when this doctor was talking to me, she's like, "Yeah, we're not surprised by that." I'm like, "Well, I'm surprised. It's been 3 years, Wow, I still have like over the top amounts of platinum in me. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do about that at the moment." But she's, got me on various things, and I am doing a little bit of detox. But I mean, given the amount that I have done, even through like different juicing and lemon juice and apple cider and some coffee enemas I've done, not a lot of those recently, like I've been detoxing, sweating, and like I still have that much platinum. So anyway, the study showed that about 30 months later, these women had their CBC, their complete blood count, blood draws were showing up with like really, deficient in the blood, like low platelets, low red, low white. I can't remember the combination, but they ended up with something called platelocytopenia. Anyway, I don't know. I have thrombocytopenia. This was some other cytopenia. It was another blood issue. And essentially it ended up being, AML. It's a type of leukemia. And that came from the chemo, and it showed up 30 months like after treatment. And I'm just like, wow, they died, I mean, that it was just like terrifying for a minute. I'm like, sometimes it's like you don't want to do research on certain things because you don't really want to know the information. And I was like, God, did I need to know this? But I printed the article out and gave it to my hematologist oncologist, my medical oncologist, and just said, do I need to worry about this? Is there any, there's some chromosome issues. Basically it deletes a couple chromosomes. Anyway, maybe if I could find the link, I'll link it below if anyone's curious, if you're triple positive, just not to cause stress or, send you down a rabbit hole, but I don't know. I find it pretty interesting. So we'll see what he says about that. But I was linking, so there is some link to like high mold in the body. So the fact that I had this high vitamin C, there was a link to the AML, the type of leukemia, with having a high mold and having this high platinum and having the blood issues that I have. I'm just like, it seemed like it was starting to add up. So I don't know what he'll say about that, but we'll see. That remains to be seen. But like I have pretty high amounts of lead and thallium and barium, but she told me, like she wasn't really that concerned about that. She said, and even mercury, But she said that like she sees people with really high levels of that, you know, that's like environmental, and it can be in a lot of fish. I learned, if you don't know, that like the bigger the fish, the higher the mercury and the lead content, the higher the toxic metal content. So like if you do eat sushi or eat fish, it's better to eat small fish. Like sardines are really good for you. They're really high, I think, in omega-3s and a bunch of other stuff. Sardines are awesome. And they're a small fish, but like I know tuna is a big fish and it has a lot of high levels of, you know, toxic metals. So anyway, what else was on there that I learned? I found those things to be super interesting. My zinc and my copper were in the range, which is great. And we didn't do my vitamin D. I've been taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D 6 days a week, which is a lot. Most people don't take that much, but she really wants me on like the upper end of that because of having had cancer before. So, anyway, so yeah, what else is happening? I'm getting a PET scan the end of January, and I'm reluctant to do it. I mean, I'm going to, but my reluctance is because here I am going to take this radioactive material back into my body and just like add to my toxic load. But it's been 2.5 years since I had a PET. I'm hoping that it will show inflammation or something in here that's not cancer that can like be pointing to why I'm getting the blood. I've been having like, you know, I have a sore throat. I'm like, is it COVID? Is it pneumonia? My mom had pneumonia for a long time. So I don't really know what it is, but I'm hoping that the PET CT will, you know, help with that. And I really just also like wanted to just share, if you have the opportunity to get some urine analysis to see what the toxic metal loads are in you and get the hair mineral analysis. I think that was like $70, which is fairly cheap in the scheme of things. It could be really like, you know, the information can be really good for you to find stuff out. So I'm just doing what I can, you know, and I just like want to pass that on. And if anybody like wants the specific name of it, I can tell you what exactly I did. The Great Plains Laboratory is who processes it. And their website is GPL4, is that right? For the number 4U, GPL, the number 4, the letter U.com. And I didn't know about them, but it's super extensive. This is a 15-page report showing all these markers and stuff. So hope that's helpful. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything, just let me know and I'll help if I can. So thanks for listening and take care.